I think the defining characteristics of good innovators are that they're people who have that kind of blind faith in an idea. So they're prepared to work incredibly hard. But at the same time, they're realists. You know, they can't. I think this is where the difference between an inventor and an innovator comes. I think an inventor can be somebody who's a little bit bonkers, who comes up with a great idea, but hasn't really worked out how to commercialize it. And I think innovation, this is the thing we're all interested in these days. Innovation is not just about the fantastic moment of conception of a great idea. It's seeing that idea through, so it's commercialized, it's on the shelves, it's making money, it's starting to pay the mortgage off of the person who had the idea in the first place. And I think that's really what innovation is about. The fascinating thing about ideas is you just can't tell if an idea is going to be a good idea or not to begin with. It's a little bit like if I came across in my garden a little green shoot poking out of the ground. Now, is that green shoot a weed or is it a flower? We just don't know to begin with. We have to nurture it and give it some love, some sunshine and some nutrients, and after a while that little green thing will come up and it will be a horrible weed or it will be a beautiful plant. And it's the same with ideas. Most ideas, when they're first born, can go either way. They can be ugly or they can be beautiful. And this is why at the very early stage of an idea's life, at the very early stage of innovation, it's absolutely crucial that we are very careful with our ideas. And that means that if we ask too many harsh commercial questions too early, the idea will probably die. Do you know, I think one of the most important things about innovation is to realize you don't get everything right straight away, and actually to realize that quite a lot of the things you try will go wrong as well. And I think if you have that perspective, this might go wrong, I might screw this up, then in a sense, it all becomes more exciting and you throw yourself into things, and you, rather than produce the mediocre, because you're always worried about succeeding, you'll produce the magnificent once or twice, rather than the mediocre all the time. And I think this is what we all need to aim for. If you want to develop an idea quickly, the most important thing to do is to make it real quickly, and that is to try and cut out the PowerPoint presentations, which are generally just reporting to somebody who has to report to somebody who has to report to somebody else, and generally clogs up the system. PowerPoint presentations can be like cholesterol in arteries. They can slow down the whole mechanism of a big company. And generally, the advice I would give to my clients is get out of your office, get out into the place where people are buying and selling products. Try and make your idea as real as possible. Don't be embarrassed if it doesn't look finished. And try it out on a few people. Just show it to some people and say, would you buy this? Or please buy this. What do you think of this? You'll always learn something. And then be prepared to rip your idea up and start all over again if you need to. So this sort of real mindset, disposable mindset, these are all the things that if you're working in a big company, you have to relearn these skills, because they are the skills that come naturally to a small business rather than a large business. I think with a lot of offices, people underestimate how boring office furniture is and how dull an office environment is. And you know what I say is, like, grey office equipment get grey ideas. And I'm not saying suddenly you paint the walls purple and you can have great ideas. What I am saying is that a huge amount of what we take in here is actually in direct proportion to all the things that we see around us. And having an office which feels fresh, I mean lots of air and lots of light, having an office where we can sit in different places and bump into people, having an office, particularly where there's food and drink available, is really important, because we all sit down over a mug of coffee and a bacon sandwich, don't we? And we have a good chat about things. That's really important. And ideally, an office, I think, should be smaller than the number of people who can possibly fit in the office. And that's because a good business doesn't have everybody at work every day. People are out there selling stuff, meeting stuff, doing things. So an office should always feel slightly chaotic as well. Never quiet, never like a call centre. It should always feel on the verge of madness. That's what a good office looks like. You know, people ask me lots and lots, has everybody got the ability to be, or the potential to be creative? And my answer to that is really, has everybody been a child once in their lives? And the answer to that is generally yes, because children are really creative, aren't they? Children, you know, we've all seen this happen, haven't we? And those of us who've got kids know this all too well. And that is, you spend a load of money on a lovely present for your kid. It gets wrapped up in a box, and they end up playing with the box and discard the present, and the box becomes a spaceship or something like that. And, you know, kids know no bounds. Kids haven't learnt what's okay and what's not okay. And unfortunately, what happens to us as adults is we start having to learn what's okay and what's not okay, and that's just how we get on. And unfortunately, for adults, we get very organised as we get older, and we lose our creativity. But it's there, it's latent, it's a huge pool of potential power in everybody. At What If, we're a creative company, and recruitment means everything to us. It's the people who are the business. And when we recruit people, it's not so much the skills that they have, because we can teach skills. It's the attitude that they come to work with which counts. And we look for a certain sort of attitude at work. We want people who are brave, who are passionate, who have an external perspective, who are action-orientated, and who are really good at commercializing ideas, not just dreaming up new ideas. And one of the things that we find is to ask people before an interview, or to tell people before an interview that these are our values. And then when we have an interview with people, is actually to ask them to tell us some stories about some of these values or these attitudes. And you can very soon tell whether somebody's going to fit in and be the right sort of person. And then after that, skilling them becomes secondary. It's the attitude first that counts. I think what's important for freshness in the office is, number one, is that employers, they have to trust their employees. They have to trust that they know what the company is doing, they know how the company makes money, they know what they need to do when they come to work each day. And I think if that bond of trust is there, then there's a huge opportunity for an employer to let the employee use their creativity during the normal course of events. So if somebody at work, for instance, has an idea about doing something new in a different way, let them do it. As long as that trust is there, that's the main thing.